What is sustainable fashion? Can fast fashion become sustainable fashion, at least partly? And what is the difference between sustainable fashion and fast fashion? Let's discuss these topics. So, if I refer to the website greenstrategy.se, according to my understanding, sustainability can be defined as being at different levels. First of all, let's discuss the sustainability at the manufacturing production level. So, at the production level, sustainable fashion can be defined as clothing, shoes, and accessories that are manufactured, marketed, and used in the most sustainable manner which is possible, taking into account both environmental and socioeconomic aspects. There's also sustainability at the workforce level because sustainability at the manufacturing is not enough, which means that factories and brands need to improve present working conditions for workers on the field, in the factories, transportation chain, and stores by aligning with good ethics, best practice, and international codes of conduct. Then there is sustainability at the environmental level. From an environmental perspective, the aim should be to minimize any undesirable environmental effect of the product's life cycle by ensuring efficient and careful use of natural resources, water, energy, land, soil, usage of animals, plants, biodiversity, ecosystems, etc. And B, selecting renewable energy sources, wind, solar, etc., at every stage and maximizing repair, remake, reuse, and recycling of the product and its components. The next level is sustainability at the consumer level, meaning that even if the clothes are not sustainable per se from the level of the manufacturing and from the level of workforce, at least it becomes sustainable at the consumer level. I will explain what I mean by that. Sustainable fashion is partly about producing clothes, shoes, and accessories in environmentally and socioeconomically sustainable manners. But also, it's about more sustainable patterns of consumption and use, which necessitate shifts in individual attitudes and behavior. What does it mean? I will explain. Because if consumers' shopping behavior changes, then they would not shop as often as they could before in the past. Then it will lead to fast fashion brands adopting sustainable practices, thus, first and foremost, stopping unrealistic production time spans, leading to 24 collections per year instead of 4 collections per year. So, as you have understood, we have already talked about sustainable fashion at the level of manufacturing, then we talked about sustainable fashion at the level of workforce, and also sustainable fashion at the level of the environmental protection, the environmental level. So, 3 levels. Of course, there could be other levels, but so far I have come up with only the 3 of them. And I think if at least these 3 levels will be present, then we can say that the chain is sustainable. Having defined what sustainable fashion is, let's define what fast fashion is. Well, fast fashion is a complete opposite of what sustainable fashion is, namely a complete ignorance of workers' rights, a complete ignorance of the environmental damage that the fast fashion industry causes, a complete ignorance of quality, selling consumers the idea of richness, and the list goes on. Therefore, I believe that first and foremost, we need to start from the level of consumers. This is because if consumers stop unnecessary shopping, this will teach fast fashion brands a good lesson. This will remove unnecessary production, thus, there will be less environmental waste to begin with. Now let's talk about high fashion because we only talk about fast fashion brands, but we rarely speak about high fashion brands. The question is high fashion a sustainable fashion? And what about it indeed? Can high fashion brands be considered as sustainable? Well, not exactly, as the answer is yes and no. Well, yes, high fashion is sustainable. At least it can be considered a sustainable fashion because if we look at the level of the production, the workforce is paid well or relatively well. They produce fewer pieces because their stuff is expensive. It's like, it's tailored towards the needs of the consumers. I would say not only the needs, but actually the pockets of the consumers. The tendency is that not many people can afford the high fashion, therefore they produce less. So the impact on the environment is, of course, much lesser than fast fashion brands' impact. At 80% of the time, high fashion pieces are unwearable. So they still may contribute to textile waste and in the environmental damage. At the same time, high fashion brands, as I mentioned before, they are quite expensive. So they either may end up at charity donation shops or in closets of somebody else, or, the end usage could be extended than the end usage, the lifespan of a regular fast fashion piece of cloth. Now, the question is, can you buy fast fashion, but consider yourself a sustainable fashionista, someone who preaches sustainable fashion, and someone who is against fast fashion, but is more inclined towards using fast fashion pieces because of this or that reason, financial or whatever, and practicing more sustainable ways of wearing their clothes. Definitely you can be that person, because again, the problem is not our clothes. The problem is with our overconsumption, and we cannot stress it enough. It will actually be the truth. So your clothes that you bought in H&M or Zara or whatever similar brand you may came up with can be loved as much as clothing from sustainable brands. And those clothes can last you for years as well. I'm actually going to make a test. I'm going to not buy until I wear and tear my fast fashion clothes, but only buy essentials like personal hygiene clothing and other case-by-case clothing, depending on the need presented before me at the coming given time. For the moment, I've got shirts, jeans, a little black dress, black pants, denim jacket, a jacket, leather jacket, things like that. So in other words, all essentials, and all are from fast fashion brands. Something that you can get away with, for all kinds of occasions. So this kind of clothing I have collected all from fast fashion brands. All I'm saying is spending is a habit. So why don't we break that cycle, break that habit, and become more sustainable by just getting ourselves clothes that can, be more functional than what the trendy clothes can be used for. Fast fashion is all about trends because, they copy and paste high fashion, which is one of the reasons that I mentioned high fashion brands. Fast fashion brands, they copy high fashion brands, and they just, propose these trendy things for a portion, the tiniest portion of, price that high fashion brands can. Of course, there's the difference not only in pricing, but in the quality. And when the prices are so low, people will know that next year, excuse me, not next year, next month, there will be other trendier clothes that these fast fashion brands will be bringing into their stores, and hence people will be buying for that reason more and more, and then just throwing away their clothes that they have bought last month, 6 months ago, and they have just probably worn a couple of times. So let's be more sustainable. Let's not wear trendy stuff. Let's be more thinking more aware of what is happening in the world, about the textile waste, about the violation of workers' rights in the countries of global south, the countries which attract fast fashion brands, through the investment regimes, through the trade liberalization regimes that have happened after 80s and most likely during the 1990s. So let's break the cycle and become more sustainable. That's all for now. Take care and see you next Sunday, 10 a.m. CT. Bye.